Stalin was born in 1879 and died in 1953. He was 74 years old, and he was a Russian dictator for most of his life. Without Stalin, the Allies probably would have lost the Second World War, and Hitler would have ruled the world. In 1922, Stalin was appointed to General Secretary of the Communist Party's Central Committee. After Vladimir Lenin's death in 1924, Stalin could not wait to take advantage of the weakness of the rest of the country and take power into his hands. One of Stalin's main opponents in the elections after Lenin's death was Leon Trotsky. Leon Trotsky was a huge threat for Stalin because he was well loved by all the people of Russia, so what Stalin did was he had him taken out. Stalin and Hitler were huge allies for quite some time. Stalin actually helped Hitler with a lot of his troubles, but one day Hitler commenced some attacks against Russia, and he would have soon regretted that. One man Stalin believed that he could trust to the fullest was a man named Nikolai Yezhov. Nikolai Yezhov was a great man when it came to military strategy. He was a Russian, and he was eventually executed for treason. Nikolai Yezhov was not only executed just for treason, though. He was executed for plotting an assassination attempt against his good buddy Stalin. So, they didn't really become good buddies in the end, now did they? Now, Stalin, once he found out about what was going on, he needed to get to the bottom of it, but to this day even, nobody's really quite sure whether or not this assassination attempt was true, or if it was just a false accusation, and it was an innocent man murdered. Nikolai Yezhov is the man on the far right of the picture, and in the second picture there, he's gone because the KGB actually, for security reasons, took him out after he was executed. From what I've just said, it doesn't really make Stalin seem like a very bad man, yet he really is. He forced his own people into labor camps that he called gulags, and they were literally worked to death. He killed so many innocent people for nothing, and it was just in his attempt to get power, and he got his way, but millions died because of him. The gulags were just a terrible place. Stalin forced young children, women, and even the elderly people to work there. If you couldn't work, you wouldn't get your food, so really, if you stopped working, you would just end up dead in days. The gulags acted as an all-year camp. You would be given a task from one of the Red Army soldiers, and they could give you many different tasks, and you didn't do it, no food for you. Many say that the gulags are not as bad as the Nazi death camps, but it would have been horrific. By March 1940, there were 53 separate camps and 423 labor colonies by the USSR. By the end of World War II, a total number of 1,053,829 Russian civilians died in the brutal gulags.
Stalin was once born in a small town called Jory in Georgia. He was born into a very poor family. Once Stalin was old enough to be on his own, his mother sent him to the capital of Georgia to study to become a priest. Well, he never really did finish his education. Instead, he became so obsessed with the capitalist industrial revolution. He knew that being a priest would be as boring as being a shoe. Stalin decided to enter the fast-growing field of politics. Once in his first major job in politics, Stalin became a general secretary of the Communist Party's Central Committee. This wasn't a huge job, but it did allow Stalin to dictate appointment times. You could say that this was all he needed for dictator training. As a young boy, Stalin had a smallpox. Even though he did have scars on his arms and face. Other children called him Pocky. This would have all contributed for his ruthless need for power. Stalin had a very different life than most people. He was responsible for 1 million deaths from his own people. He helped start a world war and lived to be 74, which at the time was a rather old age. Stalin was very paranoid, and one day in the year of 1953, Stalin had a stroke and died.